Hello YouTube, welcome back to my channel. For those of you new here, my name is Allie and today I'm going to show you guys how I Euro mount my deer. So this is a beautiful whitetail buck that I killed about 5 days ago. It's been sitting out here in the cold ever since, and I'm gonna get started on the Euro mounting process. So in this video, I'll walk you through everything that I do. This is going to take a couple of days. So today is day one. Let's let this process begin. That was dumb. Look at that beauty. First thing that you need to do is skin out the face, which I have already done. I would recommend skinning out the face during the process when you're skinning the rest of the carcass. It'll make this easier. If you don't, it's not the end of the world because it can still be done at any time. The skin will just stick to the skull a little bit more if you wait. I should have removed the eyes the night that I skinned the face, but I didn't. So we're gonna do that together right now. But before I start digging in, let's get the water ready. Let's get that warming up while we chunk some more meat off this guy. Now I'm gonna add a little bit of dish soap. Most folks use Dawn. Dawn soap is probably the best one that you can use, but this is all I have lying around. So I just did a healthy little squirt in there, and then I'll finish filling up the bucket. So essentially, this is going to be a long, slow process of quote unquote boiling the skull in order to remove all the flesh and fat and nasties that are on it. The hotter the temperature of your water, the more that you risk bones breaking. So it's best to do it low and slow. You never want the water to actually boil, just a nice low simmer. So in terms of tools, what you need is a propane tank, a burner with a large bucket big enough for your skull, some type of dish soap, and then we have our tools for picking. So I have a screwdriver, a spoon, a knife, some pliers, and that will help us pick out all of the nasties. I also have some gloves as well because we're gonna get dirty. First thing I'm gonna do is fire up the pot, let the water start warming, and while it's warming, I will pick out the eyeballs and see if I can get any other chunks of meat off before I actually get it into the pot. So right now, I'm just gonna go in, start hacking away at some of this meat. This part I would say is optional. You could always wait to start hacking away after you've boiled, quote unquote, boiled the skull for a little bit. But I'm gonna go in and see if I can cut off a little more, especially like these eyeballs. They don't need to be in here. On another note, something I just noticed I was doing, I was putting a lot of pressure down on the tip of the nose. Those bones are really, really fragile. So now kind of leveraging this up in the air, you don't want to put a whole lot of pressure down where that nasal cavity is. Don't want to risk breaking those bones. If you do, you can always glue them back together or like glue them back on. But two things that I forgot that you also need if you're boiling out a skull with antlers is duct tape or electrical tape and some plastic wrap. I'm going to wrap that around the antlers to avoid discoloring them. All right, so I rigged it up a little bit. Because the antlers are so tall, I didn't want them sinking so far down into the liquid, so I just tied a rope around it and then tied it to the little post so that the antlers aren't completely submerged. They're still a little bit submerged, but not that much. And I'll keep a close eye on this to make sure that the water doesn't start actually boiling so that it doesn't get too hot, and also to make sure that it gets hot enough. So I'll just regulate that. But now we wait. Let's go check on this. Girl. It's been about 3 hours. The snow is coming down. It is a winter wonderland. Let's check on this guy. I want to make sure that it's not boiling. I can smell it. Ooh. Let's look. Well, it's boiling. All right, let's turn her down. Oh yeah. Puh. I could probably pull this out and start scraping a little bit, but I think I'm gonna let it go for a bit longer. Close that up. All right, check it out. So it looks like I definitely need to add a little more water, but woo-hoo-hoo-hoo! Progress is being made. So I think I can get away with plucking some of the meat off of here right now. So let's go ahead and untie the antlers. Yummy. Let's start picking this off. The other cool thing about doing a Euro mount, you don't have to do this process right away. So like I mentioned, this has been sitting out in the cold for a couple of days. You can throw these things in the freezer and wait as long as you'd like. Even with the skin on, you can throw the whole head in the freezer and wait as long as you like. They're going to turn out better if you do it a little quicker, because the fat from the eyes and the fat from the brain will start to absorb into the bone, and that can cause some discoloration. But there are things that you can do to help that. The reason why I use a liquid dish soap is because it helps to pull the fat away from the skull. And again, the fat is what is going to cause some discoloration. So we're essentially degreasing it this way. If we need to further degrease after the boiling, quote unquote boiling process, I'll talk you guys through that as well. Well, good morning. The hose is all frozen. So I had to bring the bucket inside to fill it up. I'm starting the process of day 2 boiling. So I put more dish soap in the bucket. I have the warm water coming down from the shower. That should be enough. We'll get this thing hot. Sweet. So here is where we were at after yesterday's boiling. We made a lot of progress. And I think that a lot of this stuff would have come off completely if I would have just taken the time to really scrape it. I don't actually think it needs to boil that much longer. So now that it's daylight and I can see a little bit better, I'm just going to get it warmed up in the hot water, and then it will be a lot of picking. It sucks that the hose is frozen because the hose makes this process a lot easier. So, I don't know. I might be out of luck for the hose today because temps are so cold. Look at this winter wonderland. It's beautiful out. All right, let's get this in. Our pot is all warm. Skull's been boiling a little longer, quote unquote boiling. And I think we're ready to do, oh yeah, some more picking. I'll probably need to throw it back in there for a little bit longer after this, just for like a final boil, but we'll see. I might be able to get everything off. It's just a long, slow process of picking and picking. It's all about chopping away bit by bit. I spent a lot of time sticking my knife right in that hole. That's the hole where the spinal cord connects to the brain. So the brain's in there. So you really just have to stick your knife in there, jam it around, and almost spoon out the brain like you're spooning butter out of a jar. Yuck. But that's how it is. So there's still a ton more in there. A lot of this meat on the back is just not cooperating with me. So I'm going to put it back in. It looks like as of right now, my bones are still intact. So the reason why I'm doing this so low and slow is to try and protect the small bones around the nose, the small bones up here. I'll probably lose some of those bones just inevitably in this process, but the goal is to keep them, or as many of them as possible. So back into the pot it goes. So I know that I'm done boiling the skull because it's starting to split a little bit right here. That's a sign to me that we've boiled it to the right amount. Thankfully, nothing has broken. Everything is still intact, but I don't want these bones to get any more brittle than they already are. But I still feel like I need some help back here, particularly in this top region. Some of that has been sticking out of the water. So I've devised this lovely plan. So now this will focus mostly on the brain area, and hopefully that will do the trick. Look at all that. Oh my God. It's been on there for probably 45 minutes. So I'm gonna give this one last cleaning tonight. And then tomorrow, the temperatures are going to be warm enough that my freaking hose should work again. So I'll be able to actually hose out the inside of the brain. Ooh, but let's see how much I get out right now. The brain is definitely the worst smelling part of all of this. Ooh, it's so gross. So I brought out a screwdriver. So delicious, wonderful. Can't wait to smell this. So I'm just gonna take the screwdriver. I think I might just pour it. Oh yeah, right back in there. Yep. Oh boy. Oh, hold your breath. Ooh, yeah. I'm basically just scraping all of the sides of that brain cavity with this screwdriver. It's a flathead screwdriver. I'm pretty sure anything will work, but that definitely helps for scraping. It's really like shocking how much is still in there. Dude had brains for days. Okay, we're gonna stop there for the night. Cool. It's day 3 of the skull boiling process. I have not boiled this skull at all today. As you can see, the weather changed quite a bit. All of the snow, for the most part, has melted. So, let's take a look at this guy. Oh, yeah. Oh, there are some good chunks of brain left in there. I can see it rolling around, but for the most part, it's starting to get pretty clean. Let's unveil this puppy. That is sweet. All right, so we still have a lot of work to do. I definitely have some more picking and poking and prying to try and get the rest of this gunk off of here, and I still have a good chunk of the brains rolling around in there that I need to get out. I'm going to try and use the hose in order to help me. And since it is warmed up, I think that the water should be back on. That's why I'm wearing camouflage right now, because I wanted to wear clothes that I can get dirty when I'm spraying this out, because I'm sure that I will have some brains on me. The plastic wrap and electrical tape worked great. The whole purpose of that is to preserve the color of the antlers. And you can see the tops have gotten pretty light. That's just because today they have dried out. The bottom are still quite dark. That's because they're still holding in moisture from being wrapped up. But everything should turn the same color and it should look really, really good. But it kind of looks cool like that with the darker antlers. I would love to stain the antlers darker just because that's how it was when I killed him. But looks sick. So let's take this over to the hose. See if we can hose any of it off. I'm going to move on to the final step, which is whitening. But before I talk about the whitening stuff, I do want to let you know of a couple steps that I didn't film. To be honest, there's still a lot on here that I'm just not going to get off. And that's just the way that it goes. You could spend hours upon hours upon hours picking this thing clean, but I think I got majority of the stuff that would cause it to stink or rot or discolor all of those things. The portion of this that took me the longest was the nose, and that is because I wanted to preserve these nasal bones. I think they're really beautiful. I think it adds a lot to the overall look of the Euro mount. So if, just forewarning, if you want to keep your nasal bones, it is going to take you a hell of a lot longer than if you were going to pressure wash this thing, for example, because pressure washing is going to take out everything in the nasal cavity, including those bones, but it'll get it very clean, very fast. When you're picking, you have to have a long, thin tool. I just used a very long, thin screwdriver and essentially pushed all of the nasal junk this way and then pulled it out the back. You see what I'm saying? So it's just a long, tedious process, and that's really just how this has to get done, is long, slow patience. But again, I'm very happy with the way that it looks, and I'm ready to whiten. So to whiten this beauty, I jumped on Amazon and I bought this. It is 40 volume developer. I will leave a link to this exact product down below. It is very inexpensive, and because I bought it on Amazon, it came in like a day or two. I also have a plastic bucket and, of course, some gloves. So I'm going to throw my gloves on, and then just using my fingers, I'm gonna pour a little bit of this out, rub it where I want it, get it in all the crevices that I want it to go in, and then we're gonna let this sit overnight. Be careful not to get this stuff on your clothing, by the way. All right, there you have it. So I have my buck, an antelope, and actually Marta's doe that are all whitening tonight in the bucket. So I'll leave them there just like that, and I will see you in about 9 hours. So there you have it. This is my completed DIY Euro mount. I'm so happy with the way the whitening turned out. I did end up leaving it on a little bit longer than just the night. The temperatures in here dropped down to like 61, 60 degrees last night. So I wanted to give it a little time to warm up. If your home is that typical 68 to 72, just leaving it overnight would probably be fine. But I felt like it didn't quite have enough time to lighten by the morning, and I think it was because of the temperatures. Again, I'll leave links to products that I used in the description box if you're interested. And that's pretty much it, you guys. I'm super happy with the way that it turned out. I'm excited to hang this up on the wall. It definitely is a longer, slower process to do it right or better. You can definitely speed things up with like a power washer, for example. There are a million ways to do this kind of thing. But again, I'm really happy with the way that it turned out. And you save a little money when you do it yourself. So it's a cool process to, you know, I don't know. It's a cool thing to do on your own. And I'm really happy with it. I said that a million times, but that is it. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. It greatly helps out my channel. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already so that you don't miss out on future videos. That is it. I will see you guys in the next one.